So we talked about bounty hoarding, saving materials, saving tokens, exotics, what character you should use, min-maxing your light level as much as possible, whatever. Now let's talk about weapons. Heads up everybody, my name is Sentinel Grey and welcome to the channel. Once again, we have another video coming to you from not only myself, but also my friend Revenant. He put together a list of a few weapons and everything that would be good. I've added to it and adjusted it and everything like that. So this is a joint effort on his part, though he did the vast majority of the work. Also, if everything went correctly and if everything went fine and things did not blow up on my end, I should have little, I don't know, infographics, spreadsheets, a list, something pop up on the screen while you're watching this so you know exactly what I'm talking about, so you just don't take my voice as it and, you know, get confused or whatever. It's gonna help you, okay? It's just gonna help you. There is one major thing that I would like to note, though, before we actually start to get into it. All of the things that I list here, all of the perks, all of the traits, all of your weapon options, exotics, what have you, these are all a matter of opinion from myself and Revenant. This is honestly going to depend on your playstyle. If there's something that is mentioned in this video that you guys either think, oh, well, that's dumb, or like, why didn't you mention this? That's fine, because everybody's playstyle is different, and what is going to be given to you in this video isn't exactly going to be the number one thing to use and be all end all and stuff like that. If your playstyle is different than ours, please go use what you're comfortable with. You don't have to take this video as law. This is just a start for people who maybe want to know what might be really good things to use for the raid or for the first week, whatever. Let's start out with scout rifles. You're going to want perks / traits. I'm just going to call them perks. It's just going to be easier. You're going to want perks like upended mag, flared mag well, extended mag, and alloy mag. With the things that really, really make a difference on the gun, you're going to want rapid hit, outlaw, triple tap, explosive payload, rampage, kill clip, or multi-kill clip. For the record, in case nobody knows, you cannot get all of this on one gun, so don't even try. If those of you who are watching this know nothing about Destiny, you can't get all this on one gun. That would be insane. That would be overkill. That'd be absolutely nuts. Your weapon options for this are going to be Night Watch, Transfiguration, and Patron of Lost Causes. If you have any of these weapons that have any particular mix match of these perks, give them a shot. They're probably going to be really good. Your exotics for scout rifles are going to be Symmetry and Polaris Lance. Symmetry is actually a really good weapon if you want to build up a damage buff without actually killing anything. The whole thing about Symmetry is as you hit crits, you end up popping off its exotic perk so that you can actually have homing rounds that deal extra damage. It's actually really nice. For Polaris Lance, as long as you keep on hitting crits, you can have virtually limitless ammo. The fourth crit, however, should have a timed payload shot on it that is a little bit extra. It's kind of like a timed payload plus dragonfly effect. It's different. Try it out. For pulse rifles, the perks that you are going to want is upended mag, flared mag well, extended mag, alloy mag, ricochet rounds, and light mag. The perks that are going to make a difference are rapid hit, outlaw, feeding frenzy, killing wind, high impact reserves, rampage, kill clip, multi-kill clip, unrelenting, and head seeker. I'm going to get more entertaining with this. Ooh. Your weapon options are going to be Sacred Providence, Infinite Paths 8, Cold Denial, Gion 7. I don't know how to say that. Chattering Bone, and Last Perdition. Your exotics are going to be Outbreak Perfected and Bad Juju. Now for Outbreak, for those of you who do not know, Outbreak basically builds up a damage buff for itself on the target that you're firing at. If you're shooting at a target and you're hitting crits, you're going to be building up a damage buff for the weapon itself. If you have the catalyst with it, once you kill that target, the nanites that stack on the enemy, which helps with the damage buff, which builds the damage buff, spread to other enemies. So you can essentially use this as a way to do more weapon damage over time and also potentially make everything around the enemy that you're trying to kill a lot easier to kill. Bad Juju, I have in a number of builds here on the channel, and probably are going to be more the more I look into it. The gun reloads on kills. It self-buffs itself based on kills, similar to Swashbuckler without the melee part of it. And it returns super energy depending on how high you stack its exotic perk String of Curses. One of the notes is pulses like Chattering Bone, Infinite Paths, and Bad Juju are iffy choices unless they buff 450 RPM pulse rifles. Right now they're in an iffy place and they could use a bit of a buff. I would say Chattering Bone is going to be a solid option even if they don't buff it, if you have the curated role for Chattering Bone from the Last Wish raid. I've used it myself and a number of times, even with the nerf that they got hit with, and it's still actually pretty good. I don't know how it's going to be on a contest modifier. That is going to be something that we're going to have to test out and you're going to have to see for yourself. Auto rifles. Perks are, oh man, we got a lot. Upended Mag, Flared Magwell, Extended Mag, Alloy Mag, Ricochet Rounds, Light Mag, and Armor Piercing Rounds. The perks that really make the difference are going to be Overflow, Outlaw, Feeding Frenzy, Killing Wind, Triple Tap, 4th times the Charm, Subsistence, Zen Moment, High Impact Reserves, Rampage, Kill Clip, Multi-Kill Clip, Unrelenting, Vorpal Weapon, Grave Robber, and Swashbuckler. Your weapon options for this are going to be the Braytech Werewolf. You can actually get them random rolled now, which is really nice. The 7th Seraph Carbine, False Promises, Steel Feather Repeater, The Summoner, Gnawing Hunger, Age-Old Bond, and Reckless Oracle. All of these are really solid options that come with a variety of different perks. The exotics for this are going to be Monte Carlo and the Suros Regime. Monte Carlo I have in my Crowd Control Titan build, and it is what is going to be part of the build that I am going to be running on day one. It is a Swashbuckler plus Grave Robber built into it and returns melee energy on damaging enemies and kills. Suros Regime doesn't deal bad damage. The thing is if you're trying to stay healthy all the time from your kills, you can give it a shot. I wouldn't put this at the high tier. I wouldn't put this at the top of your list, but if you want to give it a shot in case you're dying a little too much just to see if it helps, then I say, bring it out of the vault. Maybe take it out of Crucible for a bit. Take it for a nice walk, nice vacation. You may like not being in Crucible. Submachine guns. For these perks, oh boy. Upended Mag, Flared Magwell, Extended Mag, Alloy Mag, Ricochet Rounds, Light Mag, Tactical Mag, and Seraph Rounds. The perks that are going to make a difference are Overflow, Underdog, Feeding Frenzy, Threat Detector, Surrounded, 4th times the Charm, Subsistence, Grave Robber, Disruption Break, Kill Clip, Swashbuckler, Demolitionist, Vorpal Weapon, and Zen Moment. Your weapon options are going to be Escape Velocity, the Ikelos SMG, Exit Strategy, 7th Seraph VY7, the 7th Seraph submachine gun, Cold Front, yes, from the holidays, and Death Adder. The exotics for this are going to be Risk Runner and Taraba. Risk Runner, you're gonna definitely want to bring this if there's a bunch of Fallen in the raid. We don't exactly know what type of enemies we're going to be fighting yet. We don't know if it's going to be Fallen or Taken or Vex or anything like that. We can assume Fallen because the whole DLC is based on the Fallen, but I wouldn't count our chickens before they hatch, you know what I mean? Plus, Risk Runner gives you the damage reduction, Chain Lightning, and a lot of ammo if you get it going. It's just good. If it's a Fallen raid, just bring this gun. It's better to have it than not. For those of you who may want to use Taraba, or if you have to run Recluse, use Taraba. I mean, it's pretty good overall, and if it gets a catalyst, it should be even better. But if you have to choose one or the other, I would probably pick Risk Runner if it's a Fallen raid. Hand cannons. Perks you're going to want: Upended Mag, Flared Magwell, Extended Mag, Alloy Mag, Ricochet Rounds, Light Mag, Tactical Mag, and Seraph Rounds. The perks that are going to make a difference: Outlaw, Triple Tap, Feeding Frenzy, Threat Detector, Overflow, Rapid Hit, Subsistence, Explosive Payload, Rampage, Kill Clip, Swashbuckler, Demolitionist, Vorpal Weapon, Disruption Break, Surrounded, and Time Payload. 4 notes that I will get to later. Your weapon options are going to be Dire Promise, True Prophecy, Crimel's Dagger, Jack Queen King 3, Ikelos HC, Ikelos Hand Cannon, Ancient Gospel, and Nation of Beasts. Your exotics for this are going to be Lumina, Ace of Spades, Ariana's Vow, and Sunshot. For Lumina, it's literally the best support weapon in the entire game. Like, I don't know how to tell you otherwise. It heals your allies whenever you use it. It gives them and yourself a damage buff, and it auto reloads whenever you pick up the remnants that it leaves behind. If you want to designate a healer, which I think actually might be the way that Destiny might be going eventually for raids, or at least for day one stuff. If you want to designate a healer, make sure they're a warlock, make sure they have Lumina. It's just a really good option. Ace of Spades is probably going to be really good if you can keep Memento Mori up, so that way you deal that damage and you have Firefly go off all over the place. Ariana's Vow is a really good sniper in hand cannon form, and it's anti-barrier, which is really good. And basically, if it's good enough for Grandmaster Nightfalls on a regular basis, whether or not there are barrier enemies there, it's gonna be good enough for day one. Then the last one, Sudden Shot. It's pretty solid ad clear. It has Firefly built into it, and from one of Revenant's notes, he says it works really well with the right Warmind mods. I don't exactly know what those mods are. I'm pretty sure that you can look up a build for it online, so I'm sorry if I don't have that information right now. One of the notes is that if Overload comes back to hand cannons in the next season, and if Overload is needed for the raid, only 1 or 2 shots from a hand cannon with time payload are needed to disrupt an Overload champ, as opposed to 3 or 5. That is why time payload is on there. If it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't put it on there. I mean, they already have the explosive payload as it is, but time payload is going to be so much needed if we have Overload enemies, Overload champions come into this raid. Similar to how we had barrier champions in the Garden of Salvation. Sidearms. Perks and traits: Upended Mag, Flared Magwell, Extended Mag, Alloy Mag, Ricochet Rounds, Light Mag, and Tactical Mag. The perks that are going to make a difference: Outlaw, Rangefinder, Feeding Frenzy, Threat Detector, Multi-Kill Clip, Rampage, Kill Clip, Swashbuckler, Demolitionist, Vorpal Weapon, Disruption Break, and Surrounded. Your weapon options are going to be Breachlight, Buzzard, 7th Seraph SI2, the 7th Seraph sidearm, Last Hope, Traveler's Judgment, and The Last Dance. The exotics that you may want to bring are Traveler's Chosen and Devil's Ruin. Traveler's Chosen is a really good weapon for CQC engagements, plus it having the ability to basically give you full ability energy once you build up the charge and everything. It's actually really, really good. I have it in one of my build videos as an alternate. Devil's Ruin, gonna be really good if there's unstoppable champions, and with a certain build, Revenant says, it can act as a mini 1K voices. He says Google it. I didn't Google it yet. Please Google it if you're interested. For bows, perks that you're going to want: literally just decrease the draw time. I'm not kidding. It's not a joke. I'm not going to tell you exactly what strings or whatever to put on it, but literally just decrease the draw time as much as possible. However, the perks that are going to make a difference are Archer's Tempo, Killing Wind, Explosive Head, Sympathetic Arsenal, and Rampage. Your weapon options for this are going to be Whispering Slab, Accured Redemption, Point of the Stag, Tyranny of Heaven, and Arsenic Bite. Exotics are going to be Wishender and Trinity Ghoul. So for Wishender, it does really good single target damage. Like if you need to take care of, we'll just say a regular enemy, a regular minor enemy with one hit, no problem, use Wishender. It's really, really easy. Trinity Ghoul has been amazing for ad clear and crowd control lately. People are loving it. Ever since it's got its catalyst, it has been shooting through the roofs of people wanting to use it because of how good it is at ad clear. So, as the note says, the best thing you can do no matter what bow you use is decrease the draw time. The faster you fling arrows, the more damage you can deal, and that is 100% the truth. Yes, granted, sometimes decreasing the draw time may also decrease your impact or range or whatever. But whenever a bow does more damage than a pulse rifle burst or whatever, it's going to be worth it in the long run. Sniper rifles. Perks to look out for: Upended Mag, Flared Mag Well, Extended Mag, Alloy Mag. And the perks that are going to make a difference: Rapid Hit, Outlaw, Triple Tap, Clown Cartridge, 4 times the Charm, Explosive Payload, Rampage, Kill Clip, Multi-Kill Clip, High Impact Reserves, and Vorpal Weapon. Your weapon options for this are going to be the Supremacy, Eye of Soul, the Long Shadow, Bite of the Fox, Distant Tumulus, Ikelos SR-102, the Ikelos Sniper Rifle, and Trophy Hunter. The exotics for this are going to be Izanagi's Burden and Whisper of the Worm. Izanagi's Burden was once the highest boss DPS weapon in the game. It is still useful in Grandmaster Nightfalls. Just because this thing doesn't have as much, like glints and glam that it had, don't count it off just yet. It's also very, very safe and a very, very solid option if you need it. Whisper the Worm currently still does really, really good damage. Yeah, you can eat through the ammo right away, but if you have something like Heavy Ammo Finder, you're going to be able to get ammo back with no time. It might actually be the best weapon to use if the boss has a crit spot. Alright, now we got the shotguns. You're going to want perks for your shotguns, that being Assault Mag, Upended Mag, and Assault Mag. The perks that are really going to make a difference is Auto-Loading Holster, Feeding Frenzy, Threat Detector, Vorpal Weapon, 1-2 Punch, Trench Barrel, and Rampage. Your weapon options for this are going to be Perfect Paradox, Hawthorne's Field Forward Shotgun, Astral Horizon, First In, Last Out, the Ikelos Shotgun, Prophet of Doom, Python, and the 7th Seraph CQC-12. Exotics for this are going to be Chaperone, 4th Horseman, and Tractor Cannon. Now, Chaperone actually does really good damage because they buff slug shotguns, and it's actually not that bad. If you can keep up getting critical kills, hitting crit kills, could prove really effective as far as damage goes. For 4th Horseman, you're just going to be able to melt majors, especially if you got that catalyst. That 4th Horseman turns into 5 Horsemen, and then it just destroys majors. For Tractor Cannon, it suppresses, debuffs, and does target knockback. It ain't getting much better than that. It's very much support weapon. Thing to note, since slug shotguns got a 30% damage buff, they're looking more viable. Just make sure you have the right perks and traits for the weapon that if you use one. Keep that in mind. Was the accent too much? I feel it was too much. I felt shotguns needed it though. I apologize for nothing. Grenade launchers. Perks that you're going to want: spike nades or blinding nades, depending on the actual grenade launcher that you do. Perks that are going to make a difference: auto-loading holster, clown cartridge, field prep, demolitionist, full court, and quick draw. Your weapon options are going to be Truth Teller, Martyr's Retribution, Interference 6, Behringer's Memory, and Swarm of the Raven. Your exotics for this might be Fighting Lion, Witherhoard, or Anarchy. Fighting Lion uses primary ammo, and it makes short work of mages if you use it correctly. Witherhoard has been doing amazing things lately, like breaking the first encounter with Last Wish, and its damage over time is honestly nothing to sneeze at. It's also really great for zone control, so if you're trying to keep enemies out of a certain area, it might actually be pretty good if you put a few Witherhoard shots down in an area. Anarchy does really solid damage to almost all bosses. It's not going to be your primary DPS thing, but if you ever want to have a weapon to where enemies take constant damage, you may want to use Anarchy. In fact, Anarchy seems like the thing that everybody's using right now to run the current Dungeon Prophecy solo. It seems like everybody's using Anarchy. Granted, yes, I know there's some people who haven't, but still. Fusion rifles. Perks that you're going to want. Enhanced battery or liquid coils. Nothing else. It's going to help. However, the perks that are going to make a difference are Rapid Hit, Outlaw, Triple Tap, Field Prep, Demolitionist, Auto-Loading Holster, Killing Wind, Explosive Payload, Rampage, Kill Clip, Multi-Kill Clip, Swashbuckler, Lead from Gold, Disruption Break, and Backup Plan. Weapon options for this are going to be the Elatha FR4. Did I say that right? I don't even know. Exile's Curse, Gallant Charge, Hollow Words, and Timeline's Vortex. Sounds like an exotic. Exotics are going to be Merciless, Telesto, Jotun, and 1,000 Voices. 1K Voices. Whatever you want to call it. I don't even know if I said Jotun correctly. Come on, guys. So, Merciless. It has kill clip basically built into it, and the rate of fire increases until the target's dead. And that's its whole exotic perk is as it's firing, is as it's doing its thing. If it doesn't kill the target, the rate of fire increases. Telesto is probably going to be disabled for day one. I'm not kidding, because if I remember correctly, last year it was as well whenever Shadowkeep came out. So if it's not disabled, give it a try, because it's really good. Jotun is good for single target deletion. Good for majors and everything like that. Don't try it for DPS. It's not really going to be the greatest. Unless it just so happens to be. You never know. And 1,000 Voices. It is one of the candidates for possible best final boss DPS. It really is, because it does a whole lot of really good damage on the last boss encounter for Garden. So it could actually be pretty good for the final boss encounter for this. However, remember, if you're using it during an activity or during an encounter where there's a whole bunch of enemies, you can kill yourself very easily. Remember, danger close. So, trace rifles. They're all exotics. We have really two options, maybe. Divinity and Cold Heart. Divinity is a ranged debuff weapon, so if you don't want to use tractor cannon or anything like that, you can stay at a safe distance and debuff an enemy with Divinity. You could also use it for any other enemy in the game. If you have somebody running with Divinity the entire time and you need certain targets killed, you basically just have to tell that person to point Divinity in the right direction. It's potentially a better option than tractor cannon. It's all going to depend on you and your build. Cold Heart, however, is good for damaging majors, because how it works is as you keep on damaging a target, the damage builds up and ramps up because of how Cold Heart works. However, we don't know if it's going to change to stasis damage, because it's called Cold Heart. Stasis. It's cold. And I know if I say stasis is ice, there's going to be like 50 people in the chat going, no, it's not. I don't know. We don't know what's happening with this gun. We're going to have to find out. Machine guns. I was actually very surprised that we are not going to have any legendary machine guns come through with us for this new DLC. I was actually very surprised and very sad, because I sat there and I looked at this exotic list and I was like, wait, no, there has to be a legendary. There's not. There's not. So the exotics for this are going to be Xenophage, Thunderlord, and Heir Apparent. Xenophage right now is the best possible weapon if you don't need crit damage. And especially, just giving one example, if you're a Titan and you are running Garden of Salvation, the very best weapon that you can use for boss damage is probably Xenophage. You slap a war rig on your chest, have Xenophage in your hands, and you just unload all, like, I don't know, 35 rounds into the boss. It does a ton of damage. That may be the thing that we're going to have to do for final boss DPS with this one again. I do not know. We will find out. Thunderlord is honestly solid DPS for bigger targets. And it is great for ad clear. Think of it as a bigger version of Risk Runner minus the shields. And I do believe Thunderlord does more damage in general, I think with its chain lightning, but I'm not 100% sure. Heir Apparent keeps you alive. It does do solid crowd control and actually kills the Scourge of the Past boss with no problem. It might be a candidate for a final boss DPS, but we're going to have to see. If you have an Heir Apparent, make sure you keep it around. I personally don't have one, so I'm going to be rolling with Xenophage. Rocket launchers. Doing this one a little bit differently. You're going to want confined launch or volatile launch, and with those, you are going to want either impact casing or black powder. The perks that are going to make a difference are going to be field prep, auto-loading holster, demolitionist, tracking rockets, cluster bombs, and clown cartridge. Weapon options for this are going to be the Husgao, the Moss Epoch 3, Tomorrow's Answer, and Bad Omens. Exotics in this category are Warcliffe Coil. Warcliffe Coil is just great for damage in a large area and a big target in general. So if it just so happens to where we go and fight something as big as, like, say, a wall, it's going to be good for that. I don't know why we'd fight a wall or a ship. You know what? That would be good. If we have to fight a ship, that's going to be really, could you imagine fighting a pyramid ship? Anyway, notes. Rocket launchers are going to need a buff if they want to be seriously considered for boss DPS, but for majors, they should do just fine if you want to go that route. It is up to you. Currently, I do believe as far as big explosive things, damaging stuff, I do believe it is grenade launchers that take that with no problem. One of the reasons is because that grenade launchers have the most ammo out of the two and deal very close damage as far as DPS is concerned. But if you want to get into explosives, there's always Xenophage. Linear fusion rifles. I'm actually going to start off with the note on this one. Linear fusion rifles right now aren't that great at DPS. However, if they get buffed, they may become a very valid option. Your two options for this are going to be the Komodo 4FR from, Crucible, and Sleeper Simulant. Granted, I know Komodo is not an exotic, but whenever you have basically two options that would be good, it's kind of hard to, give the same specifications, whatever. Box breathing and no distractions on Komodo. Probably going to be the best thing for you if you're going to try and do DPS for something. If it just so happens that the linear fusion rifles get buffed to the high heavens, Komodo might be the one that you want to go for, or Sleeper. Sleeper was once the king at DPS, and it can be again if it itself gets a buff or if linear fusion rifles gets a buff. It is in the hands of Bungie if they decide to buff linear fusion rifles. Granted, I know there was a video a while ago from Dado that says linear fusion rifles don't really do that much different damage from other things, but whenever you're doing a day one type stuff, you want to squeak out as much damage as you can, and linear fusion rifles don't really do that right now. And finally, we have swords. Swords right now are the king of DPS for this game right now. If you can hit it with a sword, it'll most likely die with a sword. If you can do the entire Last Wish raid with a sword, then if you can get to the boss, if you can physically hit them with a sword, that's probably what the DPS is going to be, unless they make huge changes to swords. You'll see. So there is actually because swords have so much variety to them, there is actually a whole entire, this is what you should use. And I don't want to say, and nothing else, but this is the best to get the most out of your stuff. You're going to want a sword with Jagged Edge, Swordmaster's Guard, Relentless Strike or Tireless Blade, and then Whirlwind Blade. Relentless Strikes, you're going to want if you are doing single target damage like boss DPS. Tireless Blade is going to be more for if you're trying to do ad clear with a sword. You have 3 different frame types though: Adaptive, Caster, and Vortex. Adaptive is your most common, like your Steel Sibyls? I don't know. Your Steel Sibyl, and the DPS is just under 55,000. The next one is Caster Frame, which the best example is, and I think the only example right now, is Temptation's Hook. It's the best for range, but it eats ammo and does around the same DPS as Adaptive Frames. The best, the highest DPS of all swords is the Vortex Frame, aka Falling Guillotine, and that does less than 75k DPS. So if you're gonna have a sword, try and get a Falling Guillotine right now with Jagged Edge, Swordmaster's Guard, Relentless Strikes, and Whirlwind Blade in order to have the highest DPS possible. I do believe in the entire game right now. I could be wrong though. Well, everyone, that took a lot longer than I thought. I apologize. I honestly didn't think it would have taken that long, but it did. So I hope you guys learned something from this. And like I said before, this is not the you want to use this and only this. You use what is comfortable for your play style. This is basically just guidelines. They're not 100% rules of you're going to want to use this or you're going to be left behind. It's not the case. However, I do want to thank everybody for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you like the video a lot, please leave a like and subscribe if you have not already. If you like to see live content, I stream on Twitch every Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over on Twitch. I will have a link for that in the description box below. I want to thank you all again so much for watching, and I know it's a long video, and I hope you guys got a lot out of this. And if there's something that you found that might work better than some sort of these perk combinations, or if you found something that you think is the absolute best for some things, please put it down in the description box below. I'd love to read it. Anyway, thank you guys very much. Remember, keep your heads up and be kind to each other. Bye now.